Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Is everybody seeing my screen?
Yes.
Great. So this presentation is available in this link if you want to later have a look again or download. Just let me do one more thing here. Like this. Okay. So welcome to this practical lab section. My name is Janna, Joceli, Omena, and I'm going to be with you for the next 45 minutes, right? And here we're going to address some aspects that we should consider when querying digital platforms and when extracting data from the web environment. And to do that, this practical lab is divided in two parts. So the first part, I'm going to bring some, it is more conceptual, so things that we should keep in mind when we go to the practical aspects, when we go to the exercising of querying and of extracting data from the web. And in the second part, we're going to do 2 exercises on navigating YouTube and using some search operators, and also using YouTube data tools. But before we start, just a very quick question. Have you already used search operators to do research? Have you already used any software extraction tool? Yes or no? Let me see if I see you all. Could you say like yes or no, or raise your hand?
First timer.
First time? Yes.
I think I use Boolean search operator, but not in YouTube for other research, textual research.
I have to tell you in advance, that it's a very simple and not difficult, neither that advanced practical lab. But the idea here mainly is for us putting together the act of querying platforms with the act of extracting data. So let's move on. And then please, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. And I'm trying to be very fast in the first part. This is like the main references. So maybe it helpful, and for you later, you can use these reference later of this workshop. So what type of query design we are addressing here? And in a way to try to help us to understand, I am proposing that we try to compare in a rough way, right, the act of querying platforms with the act of querying a database. So they are different but also similar in some aspects. For instance, in both cases, querying formulation, of course, is a key aspect of retrieving information, right? Of clearing out doubts relating to a particular subject. But on one hand, the query design method in a database helps the user to immediately find the data, right? Applying various filters and so on and so forth, as you see there in that GIF. But on the other hand, in the practice of digital methods, what we do, we formulate queries as a starting point for gathering data for research purposes. And in this case, right, the web environment and platform interfaces, platform mechanisms are our working space. So rather than a database in itself. And this is the main difference that we should keep in mind, because we cannot treat the web environment as if it was a database. So this is the type of query design we are addressing here, as in a sketch, plan, question, interrogation with digital records, right? Through technical interfaces. So, and then when I say with digital records, it is everything that we can capture, that it is available, as we've seen today on and Fernando keynote, right? What is available for research to be repurposed for research. Within the web environment is all this technological environment that the digital methods take as point of departure. So it is like the methods of the web environment and the language of the web. Through software and through interfaces also talk to us about a certain proximity with software that is required from us, a certain also software practices that we need to be aware of, and we're going to do that a bit in this practical lab. So that said, it is different, the act of designing and formulating a query for a database and for a digital platform. So there is here some requirements that you see there, for instance, to get to know the web environment, to get to know extraction software tools, to understand how and what is captured and connected by and through platforms, and also engage with software and navigational practice. And that said, like trying to clarify this part, let's move on to and understand the act of designing a query as a qualitative front of the digital methods approach, right? And I want to bring up, before the practical exercises, I want to bring and share with you these three aspects that we should keep in mind and that we should consider. And the first one is like seeing digital records in relation to technological grammar. And when I'm addressing the idea of hashtags, URLs, link domains, engagement metrics, not much in a sense of how can we get big data through these grammars, but actually how they are entangled with and within the web environment. And maybe there are a few questions that we want to address and think about. The first aspect that we should take into account questions. So what questions should we ask before querying platforms? So what is imposed, what is captured, and what is rearranged? What is available and what is used, right? Because we may have found like some records that are available, but it's not used, and maybe it's not worth for research. And how can we respond to these questions? And that could be like a very simple act of, for instance, observing the platform front end and back end interfaces and seeing what is there. So what you see, there's like a screenshot of TikTok, and then you can look at the what is being captured, likes, comments, shares, tagging, audio, and then everything that one can do, right, in the front end of the interface, it is reorganized and rearranged at the back-end interface of the platform. So, and we can read that. So all platforms, all social media platforms or search engines, they have an API documentation. You just can search, for instance, TikTok API documentation. If there is not a official API documentation, there would be an unofficial, which is this one that you see here. And then you can start understanding and respond to these questions. We may also ask ourselves, so what is retrievable, like, and how records are connected by and through platforms. And again, we have simple acts that may help us. We're not there yet in extracting data, but trying to understand and get to know the web environment so we can navigate the platform environment. We can use and experiment the features to have a sense of what is that and what people are engaging with, and trying to understand this environment. And again, you can see like my face using a feature face or on TikTok, and this is like much more the researcher intervention right now that we are addressing than the act actually of deciding the query and deciding the software. If we move on for other questions that we may want to consider, is like, of course, how do platforms work? So which specific mechanisms we should look at? So if we think about YouTube, so YouTube has like recommendation algorithms, right? That people, when starting seeing and watching our video, there is like on the left side a list of related videos that one can see next. And this is like not only based on YouTube recommendation algorithms, but also in how people watch videos. So everything is entangled. And how, for instance, using search operators can help us in deciding which are the words or the records that are going to help us to design our query. And the second aspects that we should keep in mind when querying platforms and when extracting data is thinking digital records in relation to data extraction software and vice versa. So which software or which application, which tool, which script are we going to use? Why? For instance, what are the entry points to collect data, and what are the technical specificity and limitations? How the software that I'm using to extract data communicates and dialogues with the platform that I'm working with. So what you see here in this slide, so you see one side is just YouTube, right? YouTube, it's a video, so you have like related videos. You can see that people can like, can dislike, can share. You see the title. We don't have descriptions, but then on the right side of this slide, you see the two that we're going to use here today: YouTube data tools and different entry points to get some information, to get data from YouTube and to repurpose it for research purposes, and how YouTube data tools connect with and respond to the platform. And you will see in a few minutes that these two communicates with the YouTube API, with YouTube API. And then we need to realize how YouTube API organize everything that people do that, right? At least in a very basic way. Not everything, not every detail. So moving on. Okay. And this is like help us better understand not only our choices, but the advantages of extraction software. What you see there, it's like the same situation. So you see 3 columns: parameters opted to collect data, second column, what I get, third column, what I see. But the same extraction software, which is YouTube data tools, the same module, video network module, that means the same keyword technicity, the same number of interactions, but one thing is different, right? In the first experiment, I used relevance. So I'm asking YouTube data tools to ask YouTube API to give me a list of videos, networked videos connected to the word technicity. But I asked to get this information ranked by relevance. So I see one sort of list recommended to me, and when I'm going to analyze this network, this is what I see. But then when you change this option to, for instance, ranked by date, of course, what you get and what you see is going to be different. And this is quite logical, I know, but most of the times we actually skip this part and maybe do not pay that much attention to the sort of information or the affordances of the software or our choices in this process of extracting data. So this is something we should keep in mind. And there you see technicity here and relevance, and then the same query, but I changed the parameter. So that is to say that when designing a query or a combination of factors impact on what one can get from digital platforms and consequently what one will analyze. And before the last aspect, so this is something that I'm like to share with you. Although this software is only about querying design and data extraction, if you want, maybe later these links can be very useful. Text analysis and software analysis and visualization, and then another links here of tools that you that maybe can be useful for you during the sprint, and then of course a list of software extraction. So, and the last aspect that we should take into account, and then here we're following the proposal of Richard Rogers, right? When he explained this idea of query design as a form of formulating research questions as queries. And to do that, we understand that our workspace is the web environment, is platform interfaces and the capabilities of software extraction. So we need to proceed and follow this protocol of search as research. So we see, for instance, platforms as research machines, and not only as the place that people use to communicate, or as our subject of study in a sense. So maybe we wanted to ask questions, this question that says, do I have a list of words that have become keywords? And this is following this idea of Richard Rogers, because he says, when we are formulating queries, we should consider words that become keywords, and he's relating to positioning efforts. He's relating to words that represent issue language. But for us, in terms of like doing digital methods, what can be considered keywords beyond the word itself? So you may have, for instance, Blackout Tuesday, it is a word, but this can be used with a hash symbol before, so you have hashtags. This can be represented through videos, so you have IDs, so you have account names, so you have hyperlinks. This morning, Anna and Fernando, for instance, they used list of Facebook clients. So, and these maybe you should think of that as keywords for when designing a query. And that's like this quote that he explains, right? Keywords as the connections people are currently making of a word or phrase. And keywords, or we may think digital records as positioning efforts. So when querying, we should think of a hashtags, a list of videos, a list of hyperlinks as programs or anti-programs, as efforts to be neutral. Or we can also having like as starting points expert lists, which was one of the examples we saw this morning with Anna and Fernando, the list of Facebook clients, a list of URLs, for instance. And or we can also think of categorizing our subject of study. And then with this idea in mind, we also want to think maybe two types of queries. One, which is specified, and under specified, because these different types of queries may also help us to study different things. And here again, I am following this proposal of Richard, which is in the very specific terms. For instance, let's take this idea of Black Lives Matter as a program, White Lives Matter as an anti-program, that would help one to study and to detect dominant actors or specific actors engaging with these terms, commitment and alignment over time. And under specified queries would help us to uncover different and distinct hierarchies of societal concerns, but also platform mechanisms. And then moving on, so we can have time to the practice. Okay, this is just a short video, but I'm not going to share everything, all the 5 minutes, but it's just for you to see that maybe one, for instance, with that unfortunate case that we may all remember last year of the murder of George Floyd, but how society reacted to that, how specific actors react or counter-react using Blackout Tuesday on Instagram after what happened. So we may want to ask about these reactions, these visually, right, counter reactions or not, using this. So this is just to bring a sort of specified query. And okay, I want to pass. And beyond hashtags and words itself, again, what more can we use to design and to build our queries? We can use account names, we can use link domains, we can use channel IDs or video IDs, we can use URLs. So this is a lot of material that we should keep in mind, not only words, right? Not only hashtags that may be very useful for us to query platforms. So now let's go to do this exercise on navigating and using Boolean search operators. So, and this exercise is quite fast. So the best scenario would be if you have a research browser, but if you do not have a research browser for now, it's fine for this practical lab to not create one now. Let's first experiment, and I can do that with you in the next 5 minutes. Navigate YouTube, searching for specified and under specified queries. You can choose the topic. And let's also try to explore the YouTube filters. Why I'm saying that, and I'm going to share my screen here, like with you. I'm going to, like here, because the YouTube filters, what we can find in the YouTube filters, we can also find in data extraction tools, maybe on FacePager, maybe on YouTube data tools. So the proposal right now would be to do that for the next few minutes, so we can move to use YouTube data tools, to use the search operators. So I brought a list of possibilities that you can try there. It's a sort of exercise we do before we decide our query. So here what we're going to do, I want you to go to this URL, and I'm putting is like this. Is the YouTube data tools. It was built by Bernard Rieder in 2015. So it has different modules. We are not using all, so you can get channel info, you can search for channels, you can get channel network, which is related to affinities, channels that are subscribed and or not subscribed to other channels, video lists, video network. So a lot of things that going on here, but let's go do something very simple, right? So yeah, I talked about YouTube. So let's try first, go to search model, channel search model, which is this one I'm doing together with you, and just search for digital methods and ranked by relevance. And what is important also to notice that if you do that, note that you can read what the model does. And you see this model queries the search list API endpoint. So you can click here and see yourself how YouTube API, it is organizing exactly what you are querying through the software, right? So this is important. So it is here. Just click here and open that. So you can query and then tell the software you are not a robot and submit. When you finish, I want you to please download your spreadsheet. Okay, now open again YouTube in another tab. Let me look at that. And go to video list module. And remember that I said that we can use IDs as query. So you see in this module, to query like a specific video list or a specific channel playlist, you need the ID of these videos. So here you can see the URL. All you have to do is just copy and paste this, which is highlighted in yellow. It is the ID of this channel. And then you copy and paste it like here. See, channel ID. Make sure the button is here selected, and then you tell you're not a robot, and then you submit.
Sorry, excuse me. So I can't find some channel IDs. So I think some channels, their IDs are hidden.
Oh, I'm sharing with you the
right.
ID here in the slide.
All right. Okay. Okay.
I mean, after you can use the other channel's ID if you want, but just for the sake of this exercise, you can use these channel ID. Okay. So what we did two things right now. Let me go back to the first slide. We used first the channel search model, right? We query digital methods by relevance, and we downloaded the file. Now, what we did was to use the video list module, copy and paste this ID, and submit. For the sake of time, let's go and open our files. If you didn't have time to download your spreadsheet, that's fine. You can just click because I shared with you my results. So if you can open your results there, good. So let's see first the results of channel search model, which is here already. But if you want, if you don't have that, you can click here. And let's see what we've got, right? So we have the position, see, this is like ranked by relevance, remember? So we asked YouTube to rank by relevance. We use digital methods as our query, is just an experiment. And then a list of channels that has digital methods there. So let me ask you, in your number 4 position, do you have this description there? Let me pass here. In your spreadsheet, in your position number 4, do you have this description? We are methods digital, will help organization accelerate flow and share. Do you have this there?
No.
No?
The title is Earn by Digital Methods, and it has
Okay.
no description.
Okay, is that the same for everyone? Okay, nobody wants to reply, that's fine. Thank you, Sophia. Why am I asking that? Remember, I asked you to go to channel search model and use digital methods and rank by relevance. But I did different. What I did, I use here in channel search, the language. So I asked YouTube, I told the tool that I wanted in Portuguese. And that's the reason my result is different. So you see, I use Portuguese from Portugal, not Portuguese from Brazil. So my results are different. So this exercise is again to see first how what you query relates to how you ask. So we ask, everybody has a ranked position by relevance, but my results are different because I entered different parameters there. And then what more you see there? So you see the description of the channel, you see the title of the channel, you see when the published date of the channel, you see the countries. So all this information somehow can also be think to research purpose. So let's open now our spreadsheet, the other spreadsheet, because we almost closing. I think I have only 1 minute to close, right? 5 minutes to close. Okay, good. So the other exercise, it was this one, right? Video list model. So I'm going to go back here. Video list model. We use this ID. If you have your results that you can open, if you don't, you can see my results here. We copy and paste this ID of the channel here and use the YouTube data tools. The results, it is here. What sort of information do we have there? And what we can see. So this is the video list channel. Yes, again, we have here a position which may be referenced to relevance. So we have the channel title. So on purpose, I just shared the Innova Media Lab title with you. You have the video info. So you see this column video info is quite important because in case you want to use, in case you find out that this video somehow is relevant for your research, and then you can use this ID to search for other related videos. And then you have the publish date, and then you have title. Let's move this, that. And then you have the description, whether it was used, whether it was tagged or not. So you have the video category, duration, thumbnail, so which relate us to image, right? So maybe you are interested in looking at also the thumbnail of the video. So this exercise, it was much more about this workshop. It was much more about thinking in what we should take into account when querying, and what we should take into account to build and design our query, right? And exercise just a little bit in extracting data. You're going to have another practical lab with Jacob on data extraction with FacePager. So it's going to be all about data extraction. So I think in this last 3 minutes, maybe I would open the room if you have any questions. So in the beginning, we discussed a little bit these qualitative fronts of the digital methods approach. And then in practice, we're trying to see how to use, what possibilities, what we can get, and how this is related to the platform itself. So we are here, of course, addressing these, let's say, 3 main aspects that we should take into account, because they are entangled and related when we start thinking the idea of designing our query, which is the platform grammatization, software affordances, and also the platform's cultures of use. And Rita is saying that my workshop is finished. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, everyone. I hope it helps somehow. So, Jacob, it's with you, I think.